what you've gotten out of the last couple of weeks. So I just started the recording. This is call 6. This is New Consultant Strong Start for our Direct Inbound program. So congrats for making it this far. Yay! That's fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about what you've been up to since the last call. Give us a little bit info about, how you've been doing as far as reaching out to people every day and every week. Tell us a little bit.
So I'm getting in the car with my kids, so
go ahead. It's all good.
But I just been doing a bunch of online parties.
Okay.
And I haven't done any live ones recently, but I think I had about 10 online last month. I had $4,005 in sales.
Excellent.
And then from there, I booked 8 parties for this month.
Congrats.
And, 3 are online, I believe, and 5 are online, 3 are live.
Excellent.
And then I got a recruit yesterday.
Woohoo! All signed up and everybody?
That's my second recruit, part of this program.
Yay! That's excellent. That's fantastic. You must be so excited.
Yes.
Fantastic. So, you know what? This is perfect timing then for this call. So what we're focusing on today is New Consultant Strong Start. And I will tell you, what we have in PCU is phenomenal. So we can jump right in. Obviously, like you said, you're going to be in the car, and I know we have people who will be listening into the recording. So we'll jump right into the material. Cool thing about this is this has been designed by some of the absolute tops in the company. So Stacy Itzel, Love Carpenter, and Becky Ishii all pretty much put this whole program together. And at conference last summer, they rolled it out, and it has since been incorporated into PCU. And what I can tell you is that it's a fantastic program, and it's super, super easy to follow. So what you will wind up doing is you'll go into PCU, and when you roll over the courses tab, the very last one is the Leaders course for Strong Start for New Consultants. And that's going to walk you through everything. And what we're going to cover tonight is there are 4 calls that we're going to do the same thing every time. And then from there, we go into some show-based coaching with each of our new consultants. So the first call is going to wind up happening within the first 24 hours. And what I'm going to show you guys is I had actually taken the class with Stacy Itzel at conference, and I have my folder set up exactly how she explained it. So it's just a regular 3-ring binder, and then each of these tabs, the first one is call 1, then we have call 2, call 3, call 4, show-based coaching, and then not yet qualified. And it's really simple the way she has it set up. So what she suggested is, and I'll just run through this really quickly, and then we're going to get into what each call is going to cover. The very first one is going to be the getting started checklist. So this is something that you can always refer back to. And then what she suggested is that each of these tabs, you want to get a pocket folder. So you can see there's a little pocket in here. And what winds up happening, and I'm going to move back to where I have one of my consultants right now, is when you have somebody who is starting out, you're going to print off and then fill out the new consultant checklist and schedule. And this may not be exactly what they have in PCU, but it's the same basic idea. So this little piece of information is going to move through your folder with each tab. So when I was doing her first call, this was sitting right in this little pocket right here. I then went through call 1 with her, was able to cover all this material, and then I put her information into the little pocket folder for call 2. So when we had our call 2, her paper was right there. Same thing, go through call 3, stick it in the pocket for the next call, and went through. The cool thing about this is it makes it really easy to keep track of where everybody is. And when you have multiple consultants that you're training, it's super easy to keep track of everybody. So that's what I would suggest. I've been doing that for the past few new consultants that I've had, and it's super easy.
I think that sounds great.
Yeah, it's very cool. I mean, really, some people are more digital than paper, and I tend to be more digital. But I figured, you know what? This is some of the best in the company, and this is what they do, so I'm going to listen to what they do. And one thing I can share with Stacey Itzel is they had, I'm not going to remember the exact numbers now, but they started this in 2014. So 2015 over 2014, they had something like 100% growth or some ridiculous amount. It was a triple-digit growth. And then from 2015 to the first half of 2016, it was the same kind of just amazing growth because it's extremely duplicatable. Because what we want to be able to do is teach our new consultants how to train their new consultants and make it something that people can just do over and over and over again without any stress, without a lot of effort, and make it something that it's really easy to recruit.
And I can print these out on PC University, you said?
I believe, so some of them may be a little bit different because what I printed out is what she had originally available back in July, but for the most part, these things are all going to be there. And I can always send them to you if they're a little bit different. But the basis is all the same. So call 1 is going to happen within the first 24 hours of your new consultant's starting date. And it's going to focus on a couple of things. First of all, it's really focusing on getting to know your consultant. So we need to know a little bit more about them. One of my favorite quotes is you need to touch somebody's heart before they're going to follow you. So you need to know a little bit about them. So get to know about them, get to know about their interests, get to know about their family, what are they passionate about, what things do they do for fun. You also want to find out their why. And sometimes we know it, but when we take a minute to actually really talk to them about it, you tend to uncover a lot more. So for example, my newest consultant, her daughter just told her she wanted to go do the private middle school here. And that was news to them. And she was, excited to be able to do Pamper Chef to pay for tuition for that. But as we talked a little bit more, I was able to learn more about just the family and, the different businesses they'd had, and more than I would have known if I hadn't taken some time to understand exactly why. So really take a few minutes to get to know them, get to know their why. And then that's going to focus, it's going to fall right into goal setting and to figuring out getting their first few parties booked. So once we know a little bit about them, we're going to find out their why, find out their income goal. And then we want to work through the goal sheet with them a little bit too. Explain how Pampered Chef dollars work. Explain how Fast Track works. Explain all the different rewards that they have available to them, because I'll tell you what, when people know that they're going to get more than just cash, they're going to get bonuses, it's much more enticing for them to really get going. One of the things that I had heard many times from many different fantastic leaders in the company is the very beginning, think about it like an airplane. It's the airplane analogy. When an airplane goes to take off, think about the enormous amount of energy that needs to be expended to get that plane off the ground. Once the plane is up in the air, it's much easier to maintain that altitude and requires much less effort. So a new consultant's first 30 days are critical. And think about it like that same type of takeoff point. And when you explain it to them that way, they understand that it will be a little bit more effort at the beginning, but it's going to make it a lot easier to maintain that altitude as they go. So getting those first 6 shows booked, really important. Hey, Robert.
Hello, sorry I'm late. Was having internet problems.
It's all good. It's all good. So one of the things that this is going to kind of help us with is we're going to look at their top 40 list, their launch list. And this is helping them think of everybody that they know. We all know that we instantly just kind of go to who do we think is going to do a party? Who do we think might be interested? And as a new consultant, it's important from the very beginning for them to just strictly think about who do I know? So work through the launch list with them. You're going to brainstorm who they can call. You're going to help them fill out, different areas and get different people so it's not the same 6 or 8 people in multiple categories. And then we're going to figure out with them what they're going to say. Give them some ideas. Some people are going to be fairly comfortable with this. Some people might not have any idea. But it's always important to acknowledge that, look, Pampered Chef will always give us words to say. You don't have to read a script, but if a phrase for you works for you, if a sentence works for you, take what works and run with it. So we're going to kind of take them through it step by step. And this first call is going to be the longest of the coaching calls. Plan on an hour. It may not take that long, but tell them to plan on an hour so you can really kind of get to know them, get to know their goals, break it down so they can see what they can earn, not just in commissions, but in the bonuses. Work on the launch list, and then we're going to work on bookings with them. And we want to let them know that not everyone's going to say yes. Because at the beginning, when they're super excited, think back to when you first started, you were super excited and somebody said no, and it was like somebody poked you in the heart with a knife. You're like, what do you mean no? So we need to give them a little bit of that balance. So we're going to talk them through a little bit about what they're going to say, how do they respond when somebody says yes, when somebody says no, when somebody says maybe. We get their grand opening shows scheduled, explain how that's going to work. And then we want to give them a challenge. We all tend to respond to a challenge, and it's really simple. We ask them to block out some time in the next 24 to 48 hours and set a goal for the number of parties that they want to book in the next 2 days. And we want to give them that challenge and give them that support and tell them, we believe in them. We know you can do this. And there is such a huge potential here, and offer to give them some support as well as some incentive. So what Stacy and Becky and Love came up with, it's pretty simple. If they're able to book 6 shows in the next 2 days, then we give them a little goodie bag, which is going to be something that they can give away at each of their 6 parties. We're talking about like a season's best, maybe a citrus peeler, things that we can get on the supply order, which is very inexpensive. But for a new consultant to not have to worry about those giveaways, and as a reward, it's huge. It doesn't have to be that, but something along those lines. Give them a challenge and give them something that's going to help them for their first few shows. I
have a question.
Yeah, go ahead. Jump right in.
I don't know if I'm going to drop out or not. I'm in a dead zone, but so my new consultant is in North or South Carolina. I can't remember. So she's doing her grand opening online. Is that something that I should be running or have her run?
So, that's a good question, because there's a difference of opinion on this. And honestly, it's going to boil down to what you are most comfortable with. There are some people who always do the grand opening shows for their consultants. Some recruiters and leaders choose not to. So that's really going to be something for you to decide. And it may be that you try it with one consultant and you try it a different way with another, and that's okay. All right. Some consultants, some recruiters will do the show. Not only do they do the show, but they give them their commissions, they give them their bookings. Other consultants are not comfortable. So my suggestion to you would be is to make sure that she gets through the training, make sure she's able to observe at least 2 virtual parties before hers, and then you can kind of make that decision. So for me, I choose not to do grand opening shows just because of scheduling and everything else, but I make sure that we have all the calls in, that they've seen videos, that they're able to see some live shows. But it's going to be a personal choice. Would you agree, Robert? It's kind of, it's something that each person decides on their own.
Yeah, I would definitely say so, because I personally do my new consultants grand opening shows, so it really is up to the director or the recruiter. So yeah.
So it's, as long as you get them the support that they need beforehand, that's really the most important thing. Absolutely. And that you're there to kind of work with them as they go through their first shows.
Yep.
Okay.
Make sense? All right, so that's call 1. So that's going to happen within the first 24 hours of them signing. Call 2 is going to happen within 48 hours after that. So we're going to issue them the booking challenge and say in 2 days you're going to book 6 shows or whatever it is. So then you set the date for 2 days later to do call number 2. And call number 2, you're going to start with seeing how they did with the booking challenge. Congratulate them on whatever they accomplished. Some people will book all the shows. Some people only book 1 or 2. It doesn't matter. We all know how important it is to feel like we're being successful. So praise them on whatever they've accomplished. If they've reached their goals, celebrate it. If they haven't quite gotten there yet, ask them if they want to reset and give them another 2 days for the same challenge, okay? Once we have that established, whether it's the first 2 days or the second 2 days, it doesn't matter. What we're going to go through then is looking for grand opening responses, their kickoff, how many people they have coming to their grand opening shows. We want to talk a little bit more about attendance for their launch party, look at fast track and give them some details about that. And the cool thing here is, what I love is when a new consultant has their grand opening show, they are getting the best kind of host coaching training I think that's possible, because they're the consultant and the host. So they really get a sense firsthand of, okay, what are my hosts going through? And it's going to make them that much stronger of a consultant who can successfully coach their host, where they can say, when I host a party, I found this. It's the same exact thing as saying, you know, I use the rock crock for this, or I use the grill pan for this. That firsthand experience is invaluable. So you want to make sure that they're working on their bookings, find out what worked well, find out where they got stuck, find out how some of the conversations went. And what I find is really helpful is I ask them, it's 4 simple words that I learned from somebody else a long time ago. It's tell me more. Tell me more about that, or 5 words, whatever it is. So when they say, well, I called some people, but I only had one person who booked a party. Tell me more about that. So we can hear what they are saying and what their responses are to the people that they reached out to. Because it may be something as simple as giving them one other phrase that they can say, or helping them through something, and that could turn them into 3 or 4 more bookings. So focus on their bookings, find out about the attendance for the launch party, and this is when we're using our host coaching skills. We want to make sure they have a lot of people at their launch party. Why is it important to have a lot of people at a launch party? What do you think? Probably pretty obvious, but go ahead and say
it. More bookings?
Yeah, they need to build their network.
Yeah.
They need to build their network. And one of the key things, too, is to really emphasize with them, to their friends who are coming, because it's going to be people they know, to make sure the people that they know are bringing people that they don't know. Because if they're inviting, if they have 7 people that are their best friends, that's great, and it's going to be a good place to start. But how much better would it be if those 7 people brought 7 other people that your new consultant had never met? And see how quickly that's going to help your new consultant expand their circle of contacts and really be able to grow their business. So this is where you really want to pull in your best host coaching skills and teach that to your new consultant, and model that with your new consultant for their grand opening. Pull out the launch list, work through it with them, just the same way that they're going to be able to do that with their host. Okay? So the host coaching basics, excuse me, like I said, this is stuff that as a recruiter, we're going to be pretty good in. Share what you know. Share what you learned. Share your successes. And walk through. It's always going to be about attendance. It's always going to be about connecting with enough people. Sharing some specifics. So, for example, how many people do we want to have at a party? Like, what's the idea? What are we looking for?
Well, a lot party, 10 to 15.
Exactly.
I would say for an online, I usually try to shoot for more like 20 or 25, because they're less likely. You need more attendance for an online party.
Perfect. So do you know what the ratio is for how many people we invite versus how many people can actually attend? Do you know what that ratio is? For a live show, it's 40 for the 10 to 15. Exactly. Your hosts don't know that unless we tell them.
Right.
Okay, and what you're going to find is new consultant coaching is really the same skills as host coaching. So we need to tell our new consultant that, you're going to ask 40 people to host a party and you'll get 5 or 10 out of that kind of thing. And so when they are now host coaching their first parties, telling them the goal is to have 10 to 15 people. We know about 1/3 of the people we invite to come. Make sure they're telling their hosts the same thing. The cool thing about this program is none of it is rocket science, and it's all completely duplicatable. Okay? So we're going to work on their host coaching, and we're going to work with them on how to write their story. So there's two different ways to do it. There are the 5 questions, which we often have an outline for, or it can be very simple as why did you start and why did you stay? Now, as a new consultant, I think it's best if you follow the 5-question outline, because that is going to give people a little bit more information as far as what was your situation beforehand, what are you looking for, what obstacles did you overcome, that kind of thing. And working with them so they understand why we tell our story, some of the benefits of telling the story, and keeping it concise. So let me ask you, why do we tell our story? Why do you think we do that?
Well, so people can relate to us, or they know from.
Yeah, absolutely. They want to know that, we're just like them. And the first few parties tend to be more filled with people that the consultant is going to know. They may feel like they don't need to do that, but really emphasize with your new consultant that, especially with people they know, go ahead and tell them to tell their friends, look, this is my training, and I'm going to treat you as if I didn't know you. And once they tell their friends that, then it kind of releases that whole I can't talk to them this way. You know what I mean? But that way they can practice telling their story, and it's going to do a lot, because it is going to make that connection with people in the audience, because 5 or 10 shows from now, they're probably only going to know the host and probably not super well. So it's going to make that connection. It's also going to let people see that, they're the same kind of person as I am. They have a lot of stuff going on in their lives. They have a very busy schedule. They have a family. They have this, that, and the other thing. But they're still making money doing this and having fun. So it's a very important piece, but when it's done well, it really makes a huge impression. How long do you think our story should take? Do you know?
Under 2 minutes.
Exactly. Ideally 60 to 90 seconds. So working with your consultant to have them kind of write it out, and then work with them to kind of tighten it up. Okay. And let them know that it's okay for their story to change over time. Because at the very beginning, why they start and why they stay may be different than 6 or 8 months down the line. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So that is, in essence, what Call 2 is going to be about. It's going to be checking in on their bookings, checking in on their launch party, explaining Fast Track and getting them excited about that and setting them up for that if that's what they're interested in, going through host coaching, and then working on writing their story. Okay? So Call 3 is going to wind up happening a few days before their very first show. Same thing, we're following up on bookings, because we know that without bookings, we have no business. And as a new consultant, they're going to go through ups and downs. They're going to be like, oh my God, this is the best thing I've ever done. And then 2 minutes later, they could feel like, oh my God, what the hell am I doing? I made the biggest mistake of my life. And letting them know that that's normal, and checking in with them every time about who they've reached out to, what bookings have they made so far, seeing what you can do to support them and give them some feedback, brainstorm some ideas with them, okay? So we're going to follow up on the bookings. And this is where we also want to start to talk to them a little bit more about potential recruits. So finding out who do they know that might be interested, making sure they're invited to the grand opening, inviting them to the next team meeting. If your director team has a Fast Track, destination director going on, kind of figuring out where they are with that. And getting them excited about their first party. So a few things to cover are some of the fine points of the cooking show. And there are 3 things that we're looking for at every party. What are those 3 things?
Hold on. I think broke up.
Okay.
Say that again?
So there's 3 things, 3 results that we want from every party. What are those 3 things? Do you know?
Bookings.
Yep.
And recruiting.
Yep.
And sales?
That's it. You nailed it. You nailed it. That's exactly it. Yay.
Like me.
Yeah. So sales are going to happen, okay? They're going to happen. People come to the party to do some shopping. We can absolutely impact that by picking the right recipes and talking about and showing off the power tools. So sales are something that is going to happen. The booking and recruiting piece, that's where our business is. Sales are your business today. Bookings are your business tomorrow. Recruits are your business for the future. So we want to make sure that we're covering all of that before their first party. Now the sales piece, they'll get a pretty good idea of, showing off their power tools and the different recipes. They can get a lot of that by observing cooking shows or observing the virtual parties and the training online. When you want to really, some of the things you really want to focus on is connecting with people as they come in. So if it's a virtual party, getting to know people right online at the very beginning. Or if it's a live party, as people are coming in, talking to them a little bit. So we can kind of pick up on each person and find out a little bit about what's going on with them. You're going to get through the recipe, or if you're doing a virtual party, the bulk of sharing the products. But then we want to talk about bookings and we want to talk about recruiting. So we need to be able to talk about the benefits of hosting. So do you do more virtual? Do you do more in-person, or is it kind of a mix for you?
I do more virtual. I probably do about 2 to 3 live ones a month, maybe 2.
Okay.
So.
And it's going to be the same type of focus. The way we do it may be a little different, live versus virtual, but we're absolutely still going to talk about the bookings, or about the hosting opportunity and the business opportunity.
Right. That's how I got my last recruit. That was off of an online party.
Perfect. So that's the same kind of thing that you want to share with your new consultant. So a day or two before their first party, you're going to teach them some of the finer points of doing a party, whether it's virtual or in person, getting to know the people, making sure that they fully understand the host rewards, explaining to them that we want to get at least 2 bookings from every show, explaining to them why that needs to happen, going through the different ways that we can share about bookings and the different ways that we can share about recruiting. The most important part is that we do both of those activities at every party. And there are a variety of ways to do them, whether it's virtual or in person. Some people like the booking slide. Some people, like to do a host pile-on. If we're talking about recruiting, some people like to do the ticket activity or the stealing hearts. It doesn't matter which one, but making sure that your new consultants know that this is the most important part of the party. The most important part of the party is when we can share about the host benefits and we can share the business opportunity. So we're going to go through both of those, explain to them, if they have questions about certain things. And then we want to make sure that they understand what needs to happen at the checkout chat. And again, if it's virtual or in person, we still want to be able to have that one-on-one conversation with people, because this is where they're going to book their next parties, and this is where they're going to find their teammates if they want to go for fast track. Okay? So that's going to be call 3, getting them psyched about their party, going through some of the finer points, and making sure they understand some of the details. Okay? Call 4, guess when that call is going to happen? Right after their first party. Okay, so we've got them within the first 24 hours. We've got them 2 days after that. We talk with them a couple of days before their first party, and then the day after their first party. And this is where we can celebrate all the great things that they've done. So we're going to talk in a little bit more detail about the party. What did they have fun? What did they think went well? We want to ask them, if was there any place they got stuck, anything that they would try differently the next time. And here's one of the most important things that I've recently learned is before we jump in and give them answers, ask them what do they think they could do. Ask them 3 different questions to see if they can come up with a solution. Why do you think that might be important?
To teach them to fend for themselves? I mean, I don't know.
Part of it is so they can really, absolutely, we want to be able to kind of come up with our own solutions. But when we start teaching people to kind of think it through, they're going to come up with better solutions 9 times out of 10 for their own situation than what we can give them.
Okay.
We could absolutely still give them feedback, give them suggestions. It's what we're here for. We're here to coach them. But it's one of those things where, you give a man a fish, he eats for a day. You teach him how to fish, he can eat for a lifetime. So this is what we want to teach him. We want to teach him that skill of a little bit of looking back and saying, okay, what worked, what didn't work? What can I maybe try differently next time? Absolutely, we're going to be here to give them some suggestions and give them feedback, but really get them thinking about it. Because when they come up with their own solutions, they're already bought in because it's their idea. It's going to have more ownership, and it's going to have a lot more meaning to them. Okay? So we're going to go through the first party. We're going to, talk about what went well, any place they got stuck, find out who was really engaged at the party, find out if their host is interested in getting signed up. We want to find out about bookings. So recruit leads and bookings, things that we focus on. The sales are like at the end. You know what I mean? That's one of the last things we're going to focus on about the party itself. We then want to talk about customer care. And this is a really, really simple system. We teach them 2 + 2 + 2. So these are the times that they're going to reach out to the people at their parties. So the first one is 2 days after their party, and it's simply calling to say thank you. That's it. Thanks for coming out. It was so great to meet you. If you have any questions, let me know. Okay, and 9 times out of 10, they're going to get voicemail. And so it's very easy and very quick to run through those first calls, but it makes a huge impression because somebody took the time to call and say thank you. Okay? The next call is going to be 2 weeks later. And that's what we call the out-of-the-box call. Have you heard that term before, out of the box?
Not the term, but I've heard of the 2 and 2.
So the out of the box is simply making sure they've taken their products out of the box and make sure they're using them. Okay.
Oh,
have any questions? Yeah, exactly. So it's going to be 2 weeks, but I'll tell you the first call you make is to the host to make sure that they've gotten the products delivered to everybody else. Because you don't want to call and guess and be like, hey, how's your product? And they'll be like, yeah, I don't have it yet.
Thankfully, I'm a part of direct ship now, so that's not a problem.
Well, there you go. But your new consultant won't be.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
No, yes.
Yeah, so 2 days after, it's simply, thanks so much for coming. Let me know if you have a question. 2 weeks later, call the host, make sure everybody has their products. And then we're going to call in and they're going to call and say, we want to make sure you love your products. Hope you've had a chance to take it out of the box and try it. If you have any questions, let me know. I want you to be satisfied. We offer free return shipping within the first 30 days. If you have any questions, you can reach me at the number. Okay? So at this point, the customer has gotten 2 calls from your new consultant, building that rapport, building that relationship. The third call is going to be 2 months later. And that's when you can start to engage them and create some excitement about what's going on. Okay, so we can share about if there's a new catalog coming out, if there's new specials coming out. We can ask, what was on we can talk about what was on their wish list, any new updates in the outlet, that kind of thing. But the important part is building the relationship. We want to teach our new consultants that we're in a people business. We just happen to sell cooking tools. So 2 days is thank you. 2 weeks is making sure they're happy with it. And 2 months is when we can then go back and be like, hey, did you see the new things? Do you have new recipes, new products? And see if there's something that they're excited about trying. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So the cool thing, too, is these first calls, you're going to be team teaching them with your recruiter, with your director. Okay. So the first ones are going to be throughway calls. And then as you continue to recruit and train people, very quickly, you're going to be very comfortable with this, and you'll be able to do it on your own because it's going to be the same calls with every new consultant, okay? And what happens is as your consultant starts to recruit, they were trained using this program. They heard you training their first consultants using this program. They started team teaching the same training. And then by the time they get to like their third consultant, they're comfortable to pretty much do it on their own. Okay? So it's going to be the same thing, and that's what we're always looking for, something that's repeatable. So, any questions on the first 4 calls? Okay. After that, you switch to show-based coaching, and that simply means after each party, after each show, it's about a 15-minute call the next day, going through, did you have fun? Did the host have fun? Who are your recruit leads? What went well? Who was most engaged? Stuck anywhere? Those kinds of things, finding out about the bookings and seeing what we can do to troubleshoot. So once we get them past their first show, the rest of the calls tend to be 15 minutes or less, okay? So one of the most important things too is the launch parties are huge. It's gonna be in practice. We wanna make sure that we're talking to new consultants multiple times during the first few weeks. We have these scheduled calls, which are specifically designed to cover some different topics, but we want to make sure we keep in touch with them. Send them a text, send them an email, make sure that they're going through PCU, and just kind of check in with them. Because we know how quickly our emotions can change doing this. How long have you been doing Pampered Chef now?
2 years, and I was going to say, and I know how fast the first 30 days goes by.
Yeah, exactly. And 2 years in, do you have some days where you look at yourself going, what the hell am I doing? Do you have days like that still?
I did, yes.
Yeah.
No, it's gotten better, but at first it was really hard. I did really well my first 2 months, and then I just 3 months, it was like nothing, and I didn't know what to do.
Right.
So.
And that's why we want to make sure we stay in close contact with our new consultant.
Right, because if it wasn't for Shaprice staying in touch with me, I probably still wouldn't be doing it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so those quick texts, those quick Facebook check-ins, those will be invaluable, and that is what will keep our new consultants engaged and excited even when they feel like they've hit a wall, okay? So making sure we're still going to be, we're going to be in touch with them, and they can break. The benefit of those two is these calls, ideally you have them set up as 4 specific calls. Sometimes we need to break them up a little bit into smaller blocks of time, but you can still cover the same amount of information, okay? And you want to make sure that they know that you're going to be doing this training with these new consultants so they can focus on booking and recruiting, okay? So what we're going to do is the call to action for this last one is to set a time to partner, and in your case with Caprice, with call number 1 for your brand new consultant to start going through this training, okay? So you're going to partner with Shaprice. We also want to make sure that we are reviewing the Coaching New Consultants Guide on PCU. Now this is really cool. When you go into PCU under courses, like I said, it's the very last one, and everything that we're talking about is right there. So it's very cool. So you can just see what winds up happening is, like I said, your new consultant is going to get trained on this.
Yeah, I already told my first one back in November to start going through PC University and assigned her. I went and looked at the first few ones so that I could make sure that I knew which one she was doing.
Yeah, perfect, perfect. And what winds up happening too is when you have multiple people starting in the same period of time, you can do multiple people on one call one. Okay, so let's say you sign somebody and your new consultant signs somebody. You can have more than one person on a call. And that can actually work really well because they start to bond. They've made a connection with somebody else on the team. And it's also you managing your time really well. That make sense?
Yep.
Awesome. Okay, so you're going to review the Coaching New Consultants Guide on PCU. You want to make sure that they're making 15 contacts a week outside of the party. Okay, so that's what you're going to be working on. You also want to listen to the call, Make It a Strong Start, and I'll post this in there. So your homework is to partner with Shaprice and get some of the practice going. Review the Coaching New Consultants Guide on PCU. You're going to continue to make your 15 contacts a week, and I'm going to give you the call to listen to. Sound good?
Okay. Yep.
Any questions on what we went over tonight?
Not really.
And I can tell you, it's one of those things. It's just like doing a party. Once you start to do it, things are going to start to fall into place. You'll wind up with some questions as you start doing some of these coaching calls. But one thing I can tell you is, honestly, the best thing about doing this is that it's so duplicatable. You're going to do it. Yeah. Go ahead.
I have an extra binder too with those exact things in it that I'm not using, so that's perfect.
Yeah. And so the first time, same thing with like doing a party or anything else. The first time I did it, it wasn't really smooth, and I was a little haphazard with it. And you do it a few more times, and it just becomes very easy. And just like everything else, the most important thing is that consultants on your team are able to pick it up and run with it.
Yep.
That's when they're going to be like, oh, hell, we can train people. We can get them started. This is no big thing.
Yeah.
And that's when they're going to see a lot of success. That's when you'll see a lot of success, and it starts to snowball. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So like I said, I'll post this video because I know there's at least one other person who'll be watching the recording. We'll get the homework up. Robert, was there anything else that I didn't cover? Anything else that you feel like we should add for getting new consultants started?
I think you did a pretty good job covering it.
Fantastic. So listen, just like everything else, this is one of those things where the more we do it, the better we get.
Absolutely.
And there's no such thing as doing a horrible job, because the fact that you're there reaching out to them, giving them emotional support, giving them some suggestions, that, and you know this from Shaprice doing this with you, that is going to carry them much farther than knowing every specific little detail about everything. That emotional support, giving them some guidance, pointing them to the resources, that is going to wind up paying off huge dividends. And you've gotten this far. So team leader, right? And then director, right?
Yes.
Very exciting. So congratulations so much. You've made it through your 6th week. You've got 2 recruits. You are on your way. So congratulations, and I'll post everything. And I will see you guys soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You guys.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.